saying it's like the perfect solution, but like, historically, these are the basic principles that, have at least resulted in some form of sanity among people who hate each other and kill each other time over time, which are just borders that minimize contact, points of
Uh-huh.
engagement, potentially a demilitarized zone to enforce it, those sorts of things. So I'm just asking, like, if it did result in less bloodshed, less suffering, um, would this act of ethnic cleansing be a bad thing?
I think it's complicated, right? Because, and I'm not trying to avoid the question, but I'm just trying to think through the logistics of it. Because, like, when you talk about like ethnic cleansing
Whatever
and
the logistics,
separating
I'm not
people,
questioning the logistics. I'm whatever the logistics are. Like, yes, let's say, okay,
uh,
the logistics are not you're going in and mowing down everyone and killing everyone. The logistics are that you're
uh-huh,
forcing them. You're saying, hey, you guys need to go here. You other guys need to go here. We're gonna
uh-huh,
make a big ass thing between you guys. Maybe even have a neutral zone in between you two. Um,
uh-huh.
but then at the end of the day, when all is said and done, they can't actually kill each other anymore. And so I'm asking you, is this ethnic cleansing? And if it's ethnic cleansing, would that be a bad thing, according to you?
Okay, so I answered the first question. So
Yeah,
yes,
the first
it does
question
seem
is
like
yes, it's
ethnic.
ethnic cleansing. Okay, what's the answer to the second question?
I guess yeah, if it minimizes conflict, that would be a good thing objectively.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Do you think there are any examples of ethnic cleansing that may be actually good things on this definition of ethnic cleansing?
Mm, let's see. None come to mind. Are we talking about small scale or like large scale?
Okay, so let's take a um let's take
Jeez, what is
the
that? Are these people like coming in?
someone no, there was a ping. Um it's fine, don't worry.
Can we mute
No,
the
you
people
can mute it
popping
on your
in?
own
Like,
settings.
oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I'm not very versed in Discord. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here, but
It's fine. Okay. So like let's say that
anyway.
there were certain yeah, like so for example, like if we found out that you know, in North Korea and South Korea, like there were some there were North Korean groups of areas in like in the South Korea area of today, and then there were certain South Korean areas in the Northern Korea of today. But
Okay.
hypothetically, if they were like forcibly like separated from each other, but that
Uh-huh.
and then there was a demilitarized zone was placed, which
Mhm.
prevented more bloodshed. You know, is that a bad thing? Presumably, you'd say no, right?
You could say no, but
No, I'm
historically,
asking. I didn't ask if
it's
I
much
would
more
say no. I'm
complicated.
asking if you would say no.
So yeah, I would say it's not a bad thing.
Okay. So then, is there something? Yeah. So okay. So we agree that ethnic cleansing is not necessarily a bad thing, then, right?
Sure.
Okay. So when you say because your position was when we spoke about this. One
Uh-huh.
moment.
Sure.
I'm pulling up the tweet. You said what your position was. Your position was that you don't want the Gazans to be ethnically cleansed.
Uh-huh.
But that's only to the degree that it would be a bad thing, right?
Yep. Okay.
It's not that you have this categorical view that you don't want the Gazans to be ethnically cleansed, right?
Okay.
Like
Sure.
if the proposed solutions involved ethnic cleansing Gazans and it resulted in less suffering and bloodshed, you would want them to be ethnically cleansed on this definition.
Okay, sure.
Mhm. Do you think most of the proposed two-state solutions involve ethnic cleansing as you've defined it?
Yeah, I don't know the specifics of the two-state
Mm.
solutions.
That's crazy.
I know that those have failed, because I think that was proposed in what, 2007 or something like that, and then Israel rejected it. So,
Well, there's been
and if you
rejections
look
on
at,
both. There's been rejections on both sides for two-state solutions. To be
okay,
clear, yeah,
okay,
I mean,
sure,
yeah, to be both. I mean, both like all the data I'm aware of like indicates that like at this certainly at this point, but probably before that as well. Neither side here wants a two-state solution.
okay,
Um, yeah, but you know, if hypothetically a two-state solution which forced people away from certain areas in a way that ethnically homogenized the region, uh, would result in less suffering, you would acknowledge that those two-state solutions may be better than the current situation, even if involved ethnic cleansing, right?
sure,
So then, presumably, so here's the thing: the issue is then it's not really enough to just say it's not when you say, well, oh, I just don't want there to be ethnic cleansing. That's not true. It's not that you just don't want there to be ethnic cleansing. You don't want there to be ethnic cleansing of the sort that doesn't result in better in less in better outcomes, i.e., more well-being, less suffering, and stuff like that.
okay. Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
historically, if we look at ethnic cleansing, it's never a clear-cut scenario where one side isn't like decimated, or like this is a settler colonial situation.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on.
Ethnic
Wait,
cleansing is
before we
going
get
to
into
involve.
wait, stop. Before we get into like what settler colonial means and if that's even a bad thing, let's just stick to like because I'm gonna ask the same. I'm gonna do all the same things I'm gonna do about ethnic cleansing with settler colonialism. But
Okay.
before we get into that, let's just okay. So the point I'm making here is just that it's not like what you've described is not. It's under the quantification is underspecified. Like when you say I don't want ethnic cleansing, I don't want it. Like I just don't want the ethnic cleansing to happen. That's not true. It's like it's not clear that that's true. It could very well plausibly be here that the only viable solutions are ethnic cleansing. So there needs to be more than that. There needs to be like I don't want there to be ethnic cleansing because here's like some evidence or some argument that all of the ethnic cleansing solutions as I've defined ethnic cleansing would not result in better outcomes.
Okay, sure. So I guess in my initial tweet, there was I assumed that the broader context was that a ethnic cleansing in this case implies, these people are being killed. That's why it's not good.
Well, I asked
But
you
I
that
could be
and you
more
said
specific.
no. Wait, but I asked you that and you said no. I asked
We
you
asked
by
you what?
ethnic cleansing, do you mean genocide? As in genocide, do you mean killing, murdering, slaughtering, etc.?
No, 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 no. I said that genocide is not correct because the Palestinian population has increased over history. So it's not technically genocide, but that doesn't imply that ethnic
So
cleansing
just
doesn't
to be
involve
clear, by
killing.
ethnic cleansing, you don't mean. But wait, when I said no, wait, hold on. When we started this conversation, I asked you what ethnic cleansing meant, and you said forceful removal. The forceful
Right?
removal. You didn't say killing.
Yeah, but it could also involve killing.
Okay, but now that goes
How do
back
you
to my
remove
initial thing I
people?
just told you. Then okay, so it's under quantified, it's under specified. So then
Okay,
it's not the case that by ethnic cleansing you just mean killing. It's
not
that's
solely. Yeah.
yeah. But so then I asked. Then we're back to the same problem. Because as long as like you're including for the forceful movement of groups of
Uh-huh.
people, there's going to be a whole bunch of plausible situations where the forceful moving of certain groups of people may lead to just a whole lot less suffering on the long run.
Okay.
So it's not clear that ethnic cleansing is the the wrong solution. as you've
Okay,
defined ethnic
sure.
cleansing.
Okay, right. So, okay. So in my, if I was to revise it, I would say, yeah, like maybe it's not specifically the ethnic cleansing, but it's also the murder of Palestinian people and the destruction of their homes. You know,
When you say murder, what do you mean? Do you just mean killing?
Yeah, like indiscriminate killing of Palestinian civilians. That seems like murder to me.
By indiscriminate, you mean that there is some military objective and there's this goal to accomplish a military objective, and there is no action taken to decrease or increase the probability of certain groups of people relative to others in accomplishing the military objective.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any evidence that that's occurring?
Yeah. I mean, bombing of children's hospitals, universities, mosques, all civilian
Mhm.
locations. Um, I mean, there's video footage of entire residential buildings being imploded, by bombs. 6,000 bombs dropped since
Yep,
the
I've
beginning of
seen
the
all of yeah,
military
I've
operation.
seen it. I've seen it. I'm aware.
Okay.
I'm just not
Okay.
I'm wondering how you get to that being more expected on the hypothesis that there's indiscriminate killing versus not, given the context. I mean, um if you have like what's being cited as reasons is that you have a terrorist organization, Hamas, that deliberately goes to all of those locations, such that in order to accomplish one's military goals, there would need to be an attack on those locations. Um, such, for example, setting up like they set up their one of their locations in underneath a hospital. Like that's one of the alleged cited reasons that of the bombing of a hospital. It's like, well, okay, well, if you're going to literally set up your some of your terrorist sites at schools, at hospitals, at whatever, then the only way to really actually attack you is to attack the hospital.
Okay. So why not just so they could be at any number of civilian places. So why not just blow up all of Palestine? Why not just nuke it?
Well, that would be well, I agree that that would be an example of indiscriminate killing, but that's not what's being done. Like
Like
they're not just like they're not like just carpet bombing. So like examples of indiscriminate killing I would
they're
agree with you.
literally carpet bombing.
Well, no, they're not literally carpet bombing because they're target bombing. You just don't like the targets,
Uh,
which is fine. You can not like the
mhm,
targets, but that's not evidence of indiscriminate killing. Like a just
mhm.
straightforward carpet bombing of like just the entirety of Gaza. Yeah, that would be a clear example of indiscriminate killing. I agree with that. Um, but it's not clear to me how just bombing a hospital, especially if it's alleged that Hamas is operating underneath the hospital, would be indiscriminate killing. Whether they're right or wrong about that. In fact, that might be evidence for discriminate killing. And
Okay.
just to be clear,
So what's
when I say discriminate killing, I'm not talking about like that's compatible with unnecessary. Like we could also imagine that there's like a counterfactual that Israel could have done better, and they could have, found some way of getting the Hamas target under the hospital in a way that didn't involve bombing the hospital. But that's not the same thing as indiscriminate killing. That's just unnecessary, discriminate killing.
okay?
Yeah. So do you have any evidence that there's indiscriminate killing rather than like something like unnecessary discriminate killing?
Yeah, sure. So there was
Mhm.
the video footage of, I think there was a Palestinian like a funeral procession,
Mhm.
and the IDF soldiers ended up murdering a father and the son who was in the procession. It
Okay.
seemed pretty
What
random.
was the cited wait, hold on. What was the cited reason for this engagement? Do
I
you
don't
know
know.
do you know there? Oh, so why do you have the view that that's indiscriminate killing?
Well, I mean, if you look at the video, the guys were not armed, and
I saw the video.
okay, so what happened?
I mean, at least I think assuming we're talking about the same video. I don't know if we're talking
Could
about the
be.
same.
What did you see in yours?
Well, what I saw is I saw like a car like pull up.
Uh-huh.
Like so I saw a car pull up, and then I saw like people like start like going near the car, and then I saw them like run away, and then I saw like a group of soldiers start firing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened other than that. Like I don't know. Like apparently, I've heard reports that it was a funeral. I've heard reports like I don't know what like an alleged reason was. I don't know what. Um.
Hmm.
So like I mean,
Okay. Sure.
so I mean, the reason I'm
Yeah.
mentioning this is because like I don't know. Like there's
Mhm.
just so little information in the context. Like okay, there are some things that would tell me like okay, well,
Uh-huh.
um, there's indiscriminate killing. Actually, even the examples I'm thinking of wouldn't be examples of indiscriminate killing. They would actually
Oh,
be discriminate killing toward civilians or toward children. But like just to present a context like that, like okay, maybe it is, maybe it's not, or maybe it's
okay.
discriminate, or maybe it's discriminate killing that involves something worse, targeting of civilians. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So how is that? Okay. So if it is discriminate killing of civilians,
No, that
is
would be
that
really
warranted?
bad. Yeah, no, of course that would be real, but I don't know if it is. It may be discriminate. It may be discriminate killing in
Uh,
the other way. They may have like had some suspicion that they were like ranking officials of like Hamas or something. I have no idea. I don't know the context of this beyond like
okay.
beyond what partisans have claimed.
Okay. So what do you think about the specific case of like Israel cutting the electricity, water, and internet to Gaza? What's the justification for that?
I mean,
Like,
if you're gonna siege a city, I think I mean, I think the military justification is fairly obvious for that. It makes it a whole lot easier. Um,
okay, sure.
I
Uh-huh.
think um, so. I mean, there are,
So,
you know, but again, like I don't. Um, so so I agree that there are certain actions one can take that like affect that will basically equally affect like a whole wide group of people. But when I hear
mhm,
indiscriminate killing, that's not the sort of thing I think of. When I hear
mhm,
indiscriminate killing, I don't hear like, hey, we cut the supplies to this entire region. When I hear
uh-huh.
indiscriminate killing, the thing that I could agree that like it's indiscriminate like oppression or indiscriminate like deprivation that may lead to deaths. But when I hear indiscriminate killing, I hear things like the things I think of are like, oh, like you're just gonna like glass Gaza, or you're just gonna like go in and just mow down everyone, or you're just gonna carpet bomb like wide regions of area instead of like target bombing a location that you believe you have military justification for, even if there may be a counterfactual that's better, that has a better outcome or something like that.
Hmm.
Like that that's what like that's what like yeah, because then you're not, just as the name implies, you're not discriminating.
Hmm.
So you're not looking at any group of individuals there and preferring to target one over the other.
Hmm. Okay, so your whole reasoning is that when these residential buildings are bombed and scores of civilians are killed, it's because it's likely that it's a Hamas
I don't
stronghold
know.
or
My
something like
position is
that.
I don't know. I know, and I don't pretend to know because I'm not a deranged like ideologue on this topic. Like I don't know
Mhm.
because I don't have Israeli military intelligence or U.S. military intelligence that everyone on this fucking site
So,
pretends they have. Like
right, right, right. So
I know it's being claimed.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, so
I don't claim
everyone
to.
pretends that like either like it's wild. Like everyone pretends like, oh, absolutely, there was a military justification for
Right.
here, or they pretend like, oh, it's clearly no military justification for here. Like, obviously, oh, didn't you know they bombed a hospital? Haha, that's clearly indiscriminate killing. Like, what?
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So me, I could say like, okay, yeah, I don't have any special military knowledge either, but I just look at the sweep of history and like I look at American colonialism or their incursions into like Iraq or Afghanistan. I mean, there's like documented like numerous war crimes, and if Israel is in league with America or being backed by America, they seem to be doing the pretty similar things. So you could make an inference, no?
How strong do you think an inference like that is going to be? Like the idea is like, oh, well, this other country has done. really bad things that, first of all the same things I'm going to ask you there, like that it was indiscriminate rather than discriminate but unjust, or discriminate but unnecessary for a military objective. So I'm going to ask you all the same things for the United States, by the way. So you're going to have to get
Okay.
that has to go through. Not just to say it was unjust, not just to say it was unnecessary, not just say it was horrible, but to say it was indiscriminate. And then I'm going to ask you how strong the inference is to go from that, even if that is true, to say that therefore the actions of what Israel is doing right now is not just unjust and not just unnecessary and not just horrible, but also indiscriminate.
Okay. So Avi, can I just ask, what is the why do things hinge on the definition of indiscriminate so much? If there's like
They
killing of
shouldn't.
civilians going on.
Well, actually, I shouldn't. I should take a step back. It's not that they shouldn't. The reason we got here is because you claimed it was.
Oh, okay, got it.
I mean, and I do think. Well, actually, I shouldn't have said they shouldn't. Like, they should. It makes a difference in terms of like how I would judge. Like in terms of the outcome, it doesn't really make much of a difference. Like dead people are dead people. In terms of like how I would judge the character of people, like it does make a difference. Like I would rather people, even if the same amount of people died, like I would judge someone who's like, you know what, let's just carpet bomb. Like, well, don't even pay attention if a child is in the way. Like, don't even try to move your trigger. Like, you get this military objective. If a child's in the way, just shoot the bullet through the child to get the combatant. Like, don't even move your trigger a millimeter, like up or down. Versus someone who's like, okay, I'm gonna try to move my trigger so that I miss the child and hit the combatant, but then they fail and end up killing both anyway. Like, yes, the outcome is the same, but I'm not gonna judge those two groups of people equally in character.
Okay.
So it matters. It doesn't matter in terms of outcome. It matters in terms of like the moral status of how I view these two groups of people, or group of people, or person.
Okay. Cool. So, do you want to ask a question where we're going to pivot to America, or?
Oh, no. I just wonder what the inference is. Like, apparently you have this inference of. Do you still think you have like an inference that goes through that there's indiscriminate? Okay, so the inference is what?
Okay, yeah. So the the assertion that there are Hamas like targets under these like children's hospitals and whatnot, I think that's been like widely debunked.
Okay,
I don't have the.
Wait. Hold on. Even if it was, two things. One, provide the debunk. Two, even if it is debunked, that when you say debunked, you mean that it's not the case that Hamas was there, or do you mean it's not the case that Israel thought Hamas was there? Which one?
Yeah, so I would say both. Like Israel knows that they're not there.
Okay, well then that I'd be interested in seeing. Show the second.
Okay, yeah. So
what would turn on it for me is for you to show the second.
Right. Yeah. So
wait.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Just to be clear, what you're going to provide me is a debunking of the notion that it was the case that Israel thought Hamas was underneath the hospital at the time that they bombed it, right?
Right. Yeah. And I don't. Okay. So this is just a generalization, and I don't have the. There was an interview I was listening to. It was an organization that debunks these kinds of things. So I don't have the concrete source with me. I could send you a link to it later.
Do you know if the concrete source provided a debunk for one of the other two things that I mentioned?
Yeah, I think it was the second part.
Okay.
Is that Israel uses that rhetoric as a justification to basically make.
Wait. Is that just what they asserted, or is that what they actually substantiated? Did they actually show that it was the case that Israel knew, or did not have reason to believe Hamas was there, or did not believe Hamas was there, and yet bombed the hospital anyway?
Yeah, I can look into it. I don't know.
Give me a video, and this group of people are just asserting it. It's not interesting. I don't need you to give me a video like repeating your claim.
No. It's not a video, but I think it's like I think there's documentation and there's
Do
well
you have any
thought
such
out reasoning.
wait. Do you have any such documentation?
Yeah. So like I said, if I could find that, let me go back to the interview because they have like an entire website, so I can send that to you.
Okay. Why do you think there's such documentation?
Let's see. That's a good reason. Good question.
Have you ever looked at such documentation?
No, I just listened to the interview, but I have yet to look over the
You know
documentation.
how many people do you know how many people do interviews and claim all sorts of documentation that when you actually look at the documentation doesn't support what they're actually saying, or worse yet, doesn't exist, or worse yet, is fabricated, especially in a context like this?
Sure, sure. I mean, I'm familiar with like
Yeah.
there's a big crisis in the scientific community over even like peer-reviewed publications that you know
Yeah.
that claim some things but are not. Not
Imagine how bad the state of affairs is here. Like we don't even have like this makes this makes the horrible situation of peer review look angelic almost. Yeah. So like the way yeah, so
All right,
do you have
let
any
me
reason
find that
do you have any
source.
reason for me to believe that such documents exist?
What's that?
Do you do you believe cuz like look, when I asked you for this inference, you're like telling me like some state of affairs as if it's like, well, hey, this is what the case is. Are we in agreement that like
Okay.
that's just unsubstantiated like as of now?
Sure, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for
Do you
sure.
have anything else that supports the inference?
No, nothing concrete.
Okay. So we agree that that inference is just unsubstantiated.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So we agree that the claim that Israel is indiscriminately killing them is unsubstantiated.
Yeah, concretely, we can't say that.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss?
Let's see. We did bring up settler colonialism.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know.
What do you mean by settler colonialism?
Okay, so
Wait, when you say settler, like, is there a difference between colonialism and settler colonialism, or is it like, are you using those like
yeah,
interchangeably?
no. So they're very distinct. Okay, so you can have a colonial outpost where let's say Great Britain, right? How they use India as a colonial outpost, right? You basically keep the core population intact, but you exploit their land and their exports. You know, like you raise up among the native population, like people who will adopt this colonial outlook and serve colonial interests. Okay, so
Wait,
but
hold on.
settler colonialism is different.
Wait,
Huh?
wait, wait, wait. I'm asking you what colonialism and I'm having a problem because you're invoking the same word in the definition.
Okay,
Yeah, it's giving me trouble understanding what you mean.
okay, okay.
Like, do you just
So
mean?
so
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm not going to put words in. You tell me what you think. What you're saying.
oh, okay. Do you know what a like a colony is?
It's like a group. It's it's like some sort of outpost or some sort of like area where people are gathered, and sort of start living in a certain area, something like that.
Okay, sure. And okay, yeah. So if I could be more specific, I would say colonialism within the context of imperialism. So like you have an empire that holds colonies abroad. I guess we can think of like the Roman Empire or something like that, right? Like you have these colonies that are under like Roman jurisdiction. They're not entities unto themselves, right? Does that make sense?
So you're saying like there's like certain entities that put certain colonies in other areas, and that would be
Yeah. So you have like the Central Empire, like the Roman Empire, and they go out, they conquer other nations, and they bring them into the empire. Well, those new entities within the empire are now like they're colonies basically, and they can be exploited by the empire or used in any way that they want. You can take slave labor from those entities or whatever. They're like satellites, I guess, of the empire.
Okay. So colonialism is an empire forming colonies um in other areas,
Right, right. Conquered areas.
in conquered areas.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then what's settler colonialism?
So settler colonialism is now where you not only conquer the area, but you also take people from the imperial core and you settle those new colonies, right?
What's the
So
difference
like if
between having a colony there and settling the colony?
uh let's see, what is it? So the difference is like the ethnic makeup. And so then we go back into ethnic cleansing, right?
Wait,
Like
hold
it
on. Wait.
okay.
So the difference between having a colony there and settling the colony is just the
Uh-huh.
ethnic makeup of the colony? Is that what you're saying?
Right, because you're settling a new ethnicity within that colonial region, that
So
new colonial region.
if I just have wait, hold on, I'm trying to understand this.
Okay.
So colonialism is putting like a diverse racial group in a colony in a conquered land. But like settler colonialism is putting like a homogenous ethnic group
No, no,
in.
no, 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 no. So let's go back to colonialism. Colonialism doesn't require that you do anything with the indigenous population of those new colonies. You can leave that intact, but they're now under the control of the empire. Um, Settler colonialism is where you can introduce other ethnicities into those new colonies as you see fit.
Okay, so basically you just have more, and in colonialism you have less control over the colonies.
It's yes, more or less.
Okay, so it's the amount of control you have over the colonies. Okay, so
In a way,
what's
let me
the
back up on
relevance?
that.
I'm just not certain. Like, what's the relevance of like settler colonialism then, as like what pertains to the things we were talking about? I'm not seeing really the connection.
Okay, because I was just making the inference that, um, damn, what was the point? I guess I was trying to draw some similarity between the U.S. as a settler colony and Israel as a settler colony, and how they behave towards the indigenous populations that they've displaced or exploited. So I'm just saying they have like a similar genesis, a similar modus operandi,
And
if you
that's in
will.
service of making an inference that they're killing indiscriminately.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You could say that. Sure.
Okay. What do you think is the strength of that inference?
History. Like
History is not a metric of strength. I'll re-ask the question. What do you think is the strength of that inference?
let's see. I guess the ways in which their
Like
militaries
in
behave.
terms of the evidence hierarchy, would you classify it as a level of randomized controlled trial, a prospective cohort study, a retrospective cohort study, a case control study with adjustments or not, animal studies, or just mechanistic speculation?
Hmm, that's a good question. Dude, how would you even do like a randomized controlled trial on something like settler
How
colonialism,
that's
right?
a how one does that is a separate question to what the epistemic import is.
Okay, could you say like it's
I
just
can
a
give you my answer if you
meta-analysis?
like. I think that's just a wild mechanistic speculation. I would consider that to have the mechanistic import of very little above a shit stain in terms of moving
Okay, okay.
one way or another.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
I don't know how
Okay,
you
sure.
I don't know if you think differently there, but
Uh-huh.
that's at
Sure.
the bottom.
So maybe
Yeah, that would be something at the
huh?
bottom of the hierarchy.
Okay, so maybe it's a tenuous inference.
Well, that would be an understatement. It's not tenuous. It's just like one of the weakest types of inferences one could make. To be clear,
Okay. Okay.
within a
So
given.
so sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you saying that we just have to throw out the entire framing of settler colonialism to understand how Israel is
No,
behaving today?
I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
No, of course not. I'm just
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying that there are certain given claims, and the type of justification that I'd like to have to believe such claims is
Uh-huh.
going to need to be beyond. I would like it to be beyond. Well, if we do this historical analysis, if one of Israel's allies and this and this
Uh-huh.
year had this type of behavior, and then maybe Israel also has this type of behavior, and then like some other related behavior they would also do, like what the fuck?
Uh-huh.
Rather than like actual facts of hand of the matter that happened, or like actual like evidence or footage or like military intel that was like documents relating to military intel or information that one group had at the time, like that's going to be the type of stronger evidence.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so going back to the yeah, so I guess that's kind of a moot point then, huh? Like to explore that yeah, settler colonialism. But do you understand what settler colonialism is though?
As you've defined it, I think I do. It's a
Uh-huh.
colony that's put into a conquered territory by an empire, and in addition, there is an increased amount of control over that colony, involving the or relating to the proportion of given ethnicity in the colony. Did I
Okay,
get that right?
right, right.
Yeah. So I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
understand how you're defining it.
Okay.
I just don't see how it really meaningfully connects to anything we're discussing in terms of like
Okay.
an epistemic import.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Right. I guess I would just say like the way that they do the ethnic cleansing within Palestine, that's kind of like a consequence of that settler colonialism, that mindset. But
Do you?
yeah.
Well, again, I don't see how it relates to anything we'd be talking about in terms of carrying epistemic import for any of the propositions under contention.
Okay. Sure, sure. Yeah. Huh.
It sounds like you realize that there isn't either.
I mean, yeah, I guess I have my like some strong like emotional beliefs about it, but it's like if you're gonna get down to like if we're gonna logic the whole thing, then
Yeah.
where do we go from there?
Now this is a part that I actually think is more interesting, because there's a term you
Okay.
mentioned that I actually find very interesting. You just said you had a strong emotional belief about it. Can
Uh-huh.
you tell me
Sure.
what like that means? Like, what's the difference between like a belief and like a strong belief and a strong emotional belief, as you've
Ooh.
used it in this context?
Uh,
Like, what? Because you use that word, and I found it interesting, and I think you're maybe onto something here, but I'd like to hear it from you.
okay, so I guess when I put the emotion in it, it's like it just invokes like what is it? Pathos, you know? And yeah, it's just like something you feel like emotionally connected to, like Jesus, these people are being slaughtered, and like the world is just watching, and it just I don't know, it makes you feel like you're going insane, you know. And it's like and
Mhm.
people try to logic themselves around it, and it's like, what are you doing, you know? What is the import of that? um but that's I guess I'm trying to understand your perspective too, you know. And I know like logic is your strong suit, and I'm
Well,
just trying to understand
my
like what.
perspective, yeah, but my
uh,
perspective is I am I'll get back into like the thing that we were talking about in terms of like emotional belief, but I mean, look, my
uh,
perspective is I just want to get clarity and get the truth out, whatever side that supports. Like I see a whole bunch of derangement here.
okay.
I
uh,
see a bunch. It's like wild. It's like I've had to unfollow so many people that I once respected, um,
mm,
just because I
okay.
consider them just not capable of having a rational discussion on this.
Okay.
Even though
Okay.
they're capable of having a rational discussion otherwise, um,
Uh-huh.
or just acting like ideologues in so many ways, and
Mm,
it's just not. I just no longer see them as like worth my time or value of interacting with them,
uh,
because like like, why do I interact with people? I interact with people either like there's something that I get out of it. I get like, oh, this is an interesting person to talk to. I'm probably gonna be able to toss my views against them. I'm gonna get closer to the truth.
Right.
And so many people that I once considered people like that, I no
Uh-huh.
longer do, especially on this topic. It's just like they're not people that I would get closer to the truth interacting with them. Like it turns out, like
Okay.
time and time again, every time they tell me something, it turns out
Mhm.
to be like they've turned into like just a pseudoscience generator where they just generate
Okay.
information and it's just like it's basically like talking to an anti-vaxxer on either side.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
My goal here is to get to the is to actually just be at minimum be able to establish certain facts at hand. I don't think
Okay.
there's people even doing that, or at least they have a lot of trouble doing it,
Okay. Right.
rather
Right.
than even just starting to form narratives. Um, that part we can do, but it's like that if we can't even do the former, how do we do the latter? Um,
Sure. Sure.
but anyway, like in terms of like, well, here's what I was suspecting, and tell me if I'm wrong. I think some people, because they're so emotional, because the topic is so heated, there
Uh-huh.
is almost this crossover between how strong of an emotional response they have to
Uh-huh.
how strong of an epistemic belief they have about certain propositions relating to the topic.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I would say.
That's what the sort of thing. Um, that's the sort of thing I can see happening in like a strong emotional belief. Maybe something that
Uh-huh.
like just triggered that like response in me. It's like, oh, that like recognizing that thing and that seems to be happening. Seems to
Right.
because
Right.
there's like a very strong emotional belief about something. It's like all of a sudden, like all the propositions related to one side are like epistemically strong. Like there's a
Uh-huh.
strong credence in it now, where it's like it wouldn't have been otherwise.
Right. 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 Sure. But that's understandable though, right?
I mean, it's understandable, but to be clear, it's a very bad thing. Like I take that to be a bad thing. I take that to be like a really unproductive thing that's happening. Like that's the sort of
Mm.
thing that will like generate pseudoscience about this conflict. That's the sort of thing that will promote misinformation. That's the sort of thing that will um,
Uh-huh.
quite plausibly further more bloodshed.
Okay. I don't know. I think.
You disagree with
Yeah.
it?
I think.
You think it's a good thing?
I think there's a gray area because like
Do you think it's not a bad thing?
you I don't think it's totally bad. I don't think so.
What do you
Because like
mean by
if you mix okay,
that?
all right. Let me see if I
Again,
could
I'm not
and
asking like if in all cases of this happening, if it like it would result in a better out in a worse outcome. I think like just like as a very strong heuristic, do you think
yeah.
like people should
Sure.
not like do you think it would be better if people were stronger at not letting their emotions form unjustified epistemic beliefs?
Sure. I mean that's yeah, objectively we don't want that to happen, right? So uh
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I think I'm happy on all points here that we've discussed so far. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No. I think that's cool. I think it was useful for me to see where you're coming from. Um And yeah, I'll try to if I get time, I'll link you that source that we
Yeah,
were talking
I would
about.
be interested. Yeah.
Let me listen to that, and if they have a website, and if it's bullshit, I won't bother sending it.
No, 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 no,
If
no, no,
it's
no, no. If it's
substantive, I'll
bullshit,
send it.
oh, is if it's bullshit or if it's real, I want you to send it because I'd like to combat misinformation as well. If it's real, I would like to combat misinformation. Either way, there's
Okay,
misinformation to combat. If it's real,
okay,
then I would like to combat the misinformation that Israel's putting out. If it's bullshit, then
uh,
I would like to combat the pseudo counter misinformation that the Palestine side is putting out.
okay, got it.
So I'd like you to
What's the
send it to
best
me
way to?
either way.
Okay, sure. What's the best way to get it to you?
You can DM me right here.
Okay, all right. Let's see. All right, let me do that, and I'll try to do that relatively soon, and then get go from there.
Hmm. Okay, cool. All right.
All right.
Well, good talking.
Thanks, Avi. It was
Yep.
good
Have a good
talking
one.
to you.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
you too. Bye bye.